Okay, it's Sunday, which means against my better judgment, it's time to go to Reddit and see what we can find in this hive of scum and villainy. So I've been to the Overwatch University subreddit and just scraped all the questions off the first couple pages and we're some now. Some footage of Dragon Ball FighterZ placed in the background because it's a better game than Overwatch. And if you're wondering which side I was on, please just pretend whichever side won was me. Thank you. So, first up is, what's the point of Ana if Baptiste is so much better? So, I mean, how far do you want to take it, right? What's the point of anybody that isn't in, like, the S-rated heroes category, right? You know, I'm looking at the tier list, right? What's the point of anybody that isn't top tier? You know, how far do you take it? Some people just are gonna like Ana more than Baptiste, you know? I personally hate playing Baptiste. Absolutely hate the guy. Can't stand him. I'd much rather play Ana than Baptiste. So anyway, Ana's got, like, stuff going that Baptiste doesn't have. So Baptiste, he's got the immortality field, that's nice, you know. He's got the damage, especially since they buffed his gun. And he's got the AoE heals. That's all great stuff. And Amplification Matrix is like a stupid strong ultimate as long as everything goes well. Which, there's a lot that can go wrong with Amplification Matrix, but, you know. If it goes well, it's, like, disgustingly powerful. But Ana has got, like, more high-impact cooldowns than Baptiste does, because Immortality Field's, like, it, right? No one is out here getting excited about Regenerative Burst, are they? Both of Ana's cooldowns are very strong. The grenade is still as overpowered as it always was, because it turns out just, like, splashing both tanks with, like, the bio grenades is like you've won the team fight off of just that sometimes. And the sleep darts, a lot of the times, just a free kill, or if you can land it on the person like Doomfist or Genji, can end up saving, like, multiple members of your team. And Ana's ultimate is just gonna work with no questions asked a lot of the time, right? Like, Nano Boost, it's hard to fuck it up, and it's a more versatile ultimate than Amplification Matrix is. Because Amplification Matrix has one use, and that's killing bad men, right? If you're never using Amplification Matrix defensively, right? You can use Nano Boost defensively, because if somebody gets caught, you can Nano Boost to save them. And it will, like, save them, especially if it was a tank. Amplification Matrix, it can do that, provided, again, things go well with the Amplification Matrix. But Amplification Matrix is one of those ultimates that's a lot better when used proactively, rather than reactively. Nano Boost is kind of fine either way. And it just works, dude. Like, if you Nano Boost the Dragon Blade, it just works, dude. It just works. Whereas Amplification Matrix, it might not work. The enemy might walk through the Amplification Matrix, which would be absolutely horrifying. But if you Nano Boost like the Reinhardt, well, they're not gonna just walk through the Reinhardt, you know? So, Ana's got stuff going, and, like, frankly, like, I think Ana's better at contesting someone like Pharah and Pharmacy as well, which is, like, you know, Baptiste can do it, obviously. He's got a hit scan weapon, he's gonna be fine at it, but I've seen an Ana kill a Pharah a lot more often than I've seen a Baptiste kill a Pharah. So, you know, she's got things going for her that Baptiste doesn't have going for him. And Baptiste has got things going for him that Ana doesn't have as well. In general, Baptiste is way more survivable than Ana is. He requires less babysitting. But, I mean, at the end of the day, no support likes being dove still, so that's as much of a thing as you want to make it, you know? And, I mean, just baseline, you know, I've never been too into the whole, like, what's the point of X if Y is in the game? You know, by that same token, there might as well be exactly 6 heroes in the game, right? Like, there might as well be just the 2 best supports, the 2 best tanks, and the 2 best DPS, and why have anything else, right? Because why bother having anything else if there's a better option, right? Some people just want to play different heroes, dog, you know? That's all there is to it. So anyway, next up is, as a tank, who do I play if the other tank picks Hammond? And, I mean, I don't think it's something you should be thinking about in isolation, because, like, if the other tank picked Hammond, right? A lot of unfortunate things just happened on screen there, holy shit. If your tank picks Hammond, then the most logical thing to do is pick a dive comp, right? Because that's what Hammond's gonna go into, and the tanks that pair best with Hammond are the other dive tanks. Winston and D.Va, depending on how much faith you have in Hammond to be a main tank. I personally have a very low opinion of Hammond being a main tank, so I'd go with Winston, but you know. But your team might not be a dive comp, right? Like, your man might just pick Hammond, and the rest, and then you've got, like, Ana, or, McCree, Soldier, Ana, Zen, you know? And then you just got Hammond in there. At that point, you don't worry about Hammond. You don't pick based on what Hammond did, because again, the best combo with Hammond is another dive tank, but that doesn't go with what your team comp's going, so you pick a shield tank, don't you? You pick Rhine, or Orisa, or maybe Sigma if you're feeling very brave. You don't think about the Hammond in that situation. But if your team is like Hammond, Doomfist, Genji, Lucio, Ana, right? Then at that point you pick a dive tank to go along with the Hammond, because you got a dive comp going. So it's not something you want to do in isolation, because you got to think about the rest of your team as well. Because best combo with Hammond is dive tanks, but your team might not appreciate that if they're picking static people and you're just leaving them behind. So, you know, look at the rest of your team as well. Don't just look at the other tank and decide based off of that. And, you know, this is, like, true, but regardless of what the other tank is, because the other tank might pick, like, Sigma, but the rest of your team might be a dive comp, and you've just got toes in there, right? Like, they might be Genji, Doomfist, Ana, Lucio, Sigma. Sigma's not really bringing any value to the other heroes on the team at that point, because, like, they're leaving him behind, with the exception of Ana. So at that point, you might be better off just picking Winston, so that you can go in with your dive comp and just, like, ignoring the fact Toes is there, because the rest of your team will get more value out of you being Winston than just Toes getting value out of you picking, like, Orisa, right? So you gotta think about it more broadly than just what's the other tank playing, because, yeah, sure, giving the other tank value is nice, but I'd rather give the other 4 people more value than just the other tank, personally, so don't worry about it that much. Look at your team comp overall. So, next up is, should it be my job to kill Pharah as Baptiste? Yes, because contesting Pharah should be a team effort. Everybody that can help with killing Pharah should be helping with killing Pharah, even if you're not ideal for it. There are some people that you can just, like, basically do exactly 0 to contest Pharah. Like, if you're playing Reinhardt, you can't do shit versus Pharah, right? Like, it's just not feasible. If you're playing Orisa and Sigma, you can feasibly be doing something to that Pharah. If you're playing, like, Lucio, you can still be doing something to contest the Pharah. You can still be shooting vaguely in Pharah's direction, right? Like, it might not be the most impactful thing you could be doing at the time. There might be something better you could be doing with your time than shooting at Pharah, but if you can feasibly be helping with Pharah, you should be. Because unless you're playing with like an Ashe, a Widow, or a McCree that is a god, they are probably not going to be able to deal with the Pharah by themselves, especially if it's Pharmacy, because if the Pharah knows how to play the video game, they're not just going to float out in open space and let the hit scan DPS kill them. Anytime you boys are just going like, why, we've got a fucking McCree, why isn't the Pharah dead? Well, 1 guy versus 2 guys, in the case of Pharmacy, is generally not expected to go very well. So it's peculiar how we will expect the McCree by himself to be able to deal with the 2 people by himself. We wouldn't expect that of, like, any other hero or situation in the game, would we? So very peculiar. The McCree can, if he's really good, deal with the pharmacy by himself, but you are probably not playing with a really good McCree. You are probably playing with an average McCree. You know, you are probably playing with an average Ashe, Widowmaker, what have you, right? So, yes, if you're playing Baptiste, Ana, Zen, it is indeed your job to kill Pharah, because everybody should be trying to kill Pharah if you can feasibly kill Pharah. Don't just look at the hit scan DPS on your team and expect him to be able to solo them, because they very rarely can, and it's peculiar how we continue to expect this to happen. Anyway, so next. How can I prevent shatters as Orisa? Not very consistently, is the short answer to the question. Orisa just doesn't have, the ways to do it, because her shield is cooldown based. She can't deploy it on demand. Sigma has more ways to block, Earth Shatter, because he can move his shield around mostly freely. There's a second cooldown before you can move it again, but, you can pretty much move your shield around at will. And so he's good for it. Rein's obviously good for it. It's been, the whole core of playing Reinhardt versus Reinhardt is blocking Earth Shatter since the dawn of time. Dinosaurs roamed the Earth while we were blocking Earth Shatters, right? So, Orisa, cooldown gated, shield, you can't do much about it. Your goal is basically put your shield down pretty far away from the guy and try to stop him from just walking through it. And hope it doesn't break. Which is a fairly tall ask, given it's only 600 health now, which is a little bit on the fragile side, you know. You might be in a situation where you can, read that Reinhardt's coming up to Earth Shatter because you've got your shield off cooldown right now, and Reinhardt's doing some kind of weird movement, right? He's just kind of out there running around with his shield not up. One of the general tells that a Reinhardt's looking to Earth Shatter. He's, going off, way off to the side for some reason, you know. You might see something like that and read that it's coming, so you hold your shield cooldown specifically to block Earth Shatter in the next few seconds, but outside of that, you're just hoping to, stop him from walking through your shield. So you're just, playing as normal Orisa, basically, and just trying to stop Rein from, walking through to Earth Shatter you. But if he just breaks your shield, GG. You know, it's entirely on the Reinhardt to fuck up with the Earth Shatter versus Orisa, basically. He has to, not be tracking your shield cooldown, basically. Because as long as he's watching for your shield cooldown, he'll get you. It's entirely on Reinhardt to fuck up and try to Earth Shatter while you have your shield ready. He shouldn't let that happen, but people are bad. They shouldn't let things happen all the time, and they do. So you'll be in situations now and then where you have your shield cooldown and you can use it, but it's not something you should be expecting to do. If blocking Earth Shatter is of pivotal concern to you in the game that you're playing, you should just change to somebody that can block Earth Shatter more consistently, because Orisa's not that hero. And that's basically it. So next up, can someone give me a general rule of thumb for hacking priority as Sombra? It's basically the person that is highest threat at the time should always take #1 priority. So we're talking about people like Doomfist, you know. If there's a Doomfist and he's doing bad stuff to your team, you want that boy hacked as much as possible, and you want to just focus that guy. This can be true of flankers in general, because you'd do something similar for a Tracer or a Genji as well, where you'd try and hack them as they go into your team, because they're generally bullying them around. Reaper as well, the Reaper's less concerned about being hacked than Sombra usually. You're trying to stop him from escaping, but if the Reaper is thinking about what he's doing, he won't be too bothered by a Sombra. The other flankers will be though. And then after that, you're basically just looking for somebody, the next highest priority after that is somebody that is just, no longer a hero after they've been hacked. So someone like Reinhardt, Lucio, they become completely worthless when they're hacked, because they suddenly bring nothing to the team. If Reinhardt can't deploy his shield or use any of his abilities, he's worthless. He's just a giant roadhog that can't fight back at that point. Lucio, no song. It's very tragic to be can't wall ride. Lucio's pretty fucked when he's hacked, you know. Diva, Sigma, all of these people are, like, severely crippled by not having their, abilities anymore. Tanks in general are pretty good to hack, but someone like Zarya or Orisa, you've got to think about a little bit, because if you hack Zarya after she's already used both her bubbles, hacking her suddenly doesn't do anything unless you're expecting her to ult. So you've got to think about, like, hacking her. Someone like Orisa, if she's already put her shield down, if she's used Fortify, she hasn't got much left going at that point, so hacking her is not very high priority. Sombra players, like, always hack Orisa when she's in Fortify. That's, like, her biggest cooldown. She's already used it, so it's, like, not that impactful to hack her anymore. So, you know, outside of those two, though, all the tanks generally are crippled by being hacked. A few DPS are, as well, you know, Doomfist, flankers in general. Mei is pretty ruined by being hacked. She's not necessarily bothered depending on the situation, but Mei's a pretty consistently sad one, you know, stuff like that. So you're high priority, and then people that can just be, like, removed from the game once they're hacked. And then after that, you just kind of play it by ear and just decide, like, what's the most important at the moment, because those are, like, the two really big ones. After that, you're just looking for something more general, like, alright, do I think that X is about to ult in the near future? I should probably consider hacking them so they can't ult in the near future, you know? Someone like Ana, also really good hack. She's not necessarily crippled, but she's also pretty upset about it. But, like, you know, people like Doomfist and Tracer and, like, just, like, people that are doing a lot of work, Pharah, you know, these are people that if they're doing work on the enemy team, you should be, like, hard focusing them a lot of the time and just, like, remove them from the game until they get mad and switch or rage quit. And then go for the people that are, like, crippled, and then after that, just, like, whoever seems like they would be important at the time. I already, like, Anna's already used all her cooldowns, but do I think they're coming up, like, do I think Bio Grenade's about to come up in the near future again? You know, I should maybe hack her to stop her from using that cooldown instead of hacking, like, Zarya right now, because I've seen Zarya use both her bubbles, you know? You gotta think about it a little bit more after that, but, like, there's usually a pretty obvious target a lot of the time, you know? Yeah, that's basically it. That's, like, the general rule of thumb I would give. You know, so some people would be like, oh, you can't give a rule of thumb for this because there's too many variables. Nah, not really. Like, there are, like, some people that are like, you gotta hack these people, and then after that, you kind of just do whatever, really. So, there you go. Next up is how to bridge the gap between playing off-tank to main tank. Play main tank. Just do it. There's no bridge in here. This is something people, like, always want to do. Usually in regards to something like, I want to play hard to play hero, but I do not want to play hard to play hero and be bad at hard to play hero. Who can I play that is easy to play hero that will make me better at hard to play hero? Usually in regards to Widowmaker. Which DPS can I play that will bridge the gap for me playing Widowmaker? You just gotta play Widowmaker. I'm sorry. If you want to get good at a hero or a role in any video game, really, but particularly with Overwatch, like, there's very little overlap between a lot of the heroes in the game. Like, you have to play the hero. There's no substitute for actually playing the hero or playing the role that you want to play. You can't, like, fake it or, like, just, like, play something that's going to boost your skill on them, because even, like, the most direct crossover heroes in the game, which is probably, like, Ashe, Widow, Orisa, Sigma, you know, Ana, Baptiste, these heroes are, like, probably the most similar to each other out of all the heroes in the game, and they still all play, like, very differently to each other. You can't, like, actually substitute these heroes for each other. So if you're playing off-tank, you want to play main tank, you have to play main tanks. You know, I could say to you, play, like, the easy main tank, but, like, that's, like, subjective still, isn't it, you know? What do I mean when I say the easiest? Do I mean the easiest to play mechanically? Because that's obviously Winston. Is he the easiest to play main tank? Probably not, actually. The easiest to play, like, Knowledge-wise, overall, is probably Orisa. But at the same time, I would just tell you to play... Personally, I would tell you to play the hero that will teach you the fundamentals of main tank best, which is going to be Reinhardt. So, you know, there's a bunch of different answers you could be given to that question for which one is like the easiest or best main tank to play first. So just play whichever one you want to play is the actual answer to the question. And you just have to play main tank, dog. There's no substitute for actually playing the hero or the role, so you have to do it. You know, you might fuck it up. You probably will fuck it up. But that's just life, unfortunately. If you want to get good at something, you have to be bad at it first. And then eventually, you stop being bad at it. So there you go. So next up is, can I rank up by one-tricking a support? And what is a solid support to rank up as? Whichever support you want to play is like the actual answer to this question. Because all of the supports can climb. Yes, it is definitely possible to rank up by one-tricking a support. People have done it. People have done it for a long time. I've done it. Other people have done it. You can do it. I've gotten to Masters now a couple times by one-tricking a support. Because at first I did it with Reinhardt, but then Moira came out and I really liked Moira, so I played just Moira to get up to Masters. And then I did it with Bridget when she came out as well. So, you can definitely do it. I've done it, and other people have done it as well. People have done it with Bridget now. After all 12,000 nerfs she's received, so... You can do it, and whichever one you want to play, dog. I've always thought that the best one to do, like, on paper is Ana, just because Ana, I feel, has the most agency over the game, over all the supports, because she got two really big cooldowns in Sleep Dart and Bio Grenade, and her ultimate is good offensively and defensively, and she does, like, good damage herself. So I've always thought the best one on paper is Ana, but if you're bad at Ana, it's not going to be Ana, is it? So... You know, maybe you just hate Ana. Understandable. I hate Baptiste. You can hate whoever you want to play. Hate whoever you want. So, whichever support you want, you know. You do you, buddy. Whichever one you like. Though, if you're looking for just on paper, I guess it's Ana, but... I wouldn't be able to one-trick my way up as Ana. Not for a really long time, because I'm not that good at Ana, so... You know, if you've got one that you're already really good at, probably that one. But other than that, if you don't have one that you're already good at, just pick whoever. Whoever you want to play, dog. So, next up is, what if Moira's healing was ammunition-based? Just, like, learn how to manage a resource, and Moira is effectively an infinite healing resource. There are very few situations I'm in where I think to myself, oh no, I'm out of resource. Because once you get good at managing the resource, it's no longer an issue, it's just infinite at that point. Or very close to. So to be fair to this person, it wasn't just a question that was like, I'm bad, what if thing that made me bad was better for me? It was more of a balanced question where they were like, so Moira seems to be really good at low ranks and then falls off in high ranks because of lack of utility. Blah, 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 a couple paragraphs, and then the thesis at the end was just like, what if it was ammunition-based? And the answer is that this would almost certainly actually make her worse at the high level, because as soon as it's ammunition-based, that means, like, Moira has to, like, reload to recover her resource, and, like, that's, like, different to having an effectively infinite resource, right? Like, Moira, as stands, once you get good at her, there is almost never a situation you're actually out of resource. And there was, even if you are, there was usually something you could have done for better resource management overall. Like, if I'm playing Moira, there's probably 1 out of every, like, 20 games where I'm like, fuck, I'm out of resource. You know, once you get good at it, it's not a problem. So it being ammunition-based, it would have to come with some, like, pretty nice side effect of it being ammunition-based to actually make Moira better at high level. Because it's not an issue, resource-wise, really. So it would have to be something like, it's ammunition-based, and now heals even more! than it already does, which is not going to happen, so no, like, her healing being ammunition-based would not make Moira better at high level. I think it would make her worse. And it wouldn't, like, affect her at low ranks, probably. Like, it still probably wouldn't affect if she does well at low ranks or not. I think it would just make her worse on the high end, personally, but no, basically. Get good. So, there you go. So, next up, and this is the last question for this week, is viability of heroes across all ranks and reasonings why. And I'll be honest with you, I kind of put this guy in because I wanted to laugh at him, mostly, because this guy seemed like he was ultimately asking for, like, a cheat sheet to, like, climb in SR, like, by picking heroes, basically. Because that was the title of the thread, but once you got into it, there were, like, 5 more questions attached to it, where they were like, what are all the good heroes across the ranks? And then, like, every rank inside of that. So they were like, what are all the good heroes at all ranks across all roles? Like, they were asking for, like, a really in-depth breakdown about this. So I kind of got the impression that they were asking for, like, who is good to climb from bronze to silver, then silver to gold, then gold to plat, so on, until they were at Grandmasters or something, which is not going to happen. So, like, basically, here's the answer. All of the heroes are equally viable across all ranks, is the actual answer to this question from my perspective, because there's the most important thing in here, right, is not the hero you've picked, it's how good you are at the hero. And people get baited into this in all games, where they basically want a tier list, and then they go to the hero at the top of the tier list, and they go, that one, that's the best one. If I play that one, I'll be good too. This is very rarely actually the case. Because it kind of, like, doesn't work like that. You have to actually be good at the person still. There are very few cases of a hero being so disgustingly overpowered that you could pick that hero and win with 0 skill. There are very few cases of that across video games. There are examples of it, but they're extremely rare. Fighting game players get baited into this all the time. I can tell you it wouldn't work for me. And, like, all the heroes in Dragon Ball FighterZ that are top tier, fuck, dude, I can't play those guys. Jesus Christ, they're so fucking hard to play. Oh my god. Kid Goku is, like, the best hero in the game, and, like, dude, fucking, like, solo Spirit Bomb combo is fucking insane. I cannot do that, it's too much. I play, like, pretty low-tier heroes overall in the game, but I still got to a pretty good rank. I've played, in Overwatch, I've played Reinhardt when people have told me Reinhardt's unplayably bad, which has been, like, every other month, it feels like, basically, with Overwatch, and, you know, it was still fine. It was still fine. Moira, too. People were like, Moira's, like, unplayably bad. I'm still doing fine on Moira. You know, doesn't matter. You know, and people will tell you that, like, there are some heroes that are really teamwork-based, and so you shouldn't play them at certain ranks. Like Mercy. I've told people this one before. I've told you shouldn't play Mercy in Bronze because you can't depend on your teammates to help you. The thing is, if you're good at Mercy, that doesn't matter. But if you're someone who is in Bronze, and, like, that's like your SR, right? Like, if you're a Bronze SR player, then you're not going to be good enough at Mercy, probably, to get out of Bronze by playing Mercy. So I would recommend to you to pick somebody that is less teamwork-based, because you do not personally have enough skill yet with that hero to get out playing them, so it's going to be hard for you to do it. It would be easier to play someone like Moira, and then it'll be easier for you to get out by playing that hero if you're actually a Bronze SR player, because you need less teamwork to be good with that hero. And then you can learn more about, like, the game, right? You can get better at the game, broadly speaking, and then eventually you come back around and you're like, alright, I really want to play Mercy. I've learned a little bit more now. I'm gonna play Mercy now. It'll be good, you know. There are examples of some people that are actually high ranked, and they've started like a new account, and they've climbed from bronze to X, whatever you want. People have done it with all kinds of ranks, playing Mercy. So you can definitely still do it on the more teamwork-dependent heroes. You just need to be good at said teamwork-dependent hero. Because every hero in the game has potential to carry, you just need to be able to leverage that potential to carry. So, there you go. The answer is, all heroes are equally viable across all ranks, provided you have the skill with the hero. And that's basically the answer to the question. Don't go looking for cheat sheets to climb, you can't do it. Which is, like, you know, I'm obviously assuming a lot about this guy, but, like, it really seemed like he wanted an answer to the question that was, like, way too in-depth, and it started off kind of like, I was just idly thinking about win rates and pick rates, right? Like, that was actually the start to that longer chain of questions. I was idly thinking about pick weights and win rates across all ranks, and I was wondering, you know, it had, like, that kind of vibe to it, so, you know, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I just kind of wanted to laugh at it, to be honest with you. Don't go looking for, like, tier list cheat sheets to climb. You'll almost always be disappointed. So, there you go. That was the last question. We're just going to stop the game now before it actually starts as soon as it will let me. Look at that. Didn't have to wait for a whole game to finish for once. Incredible. And we can see that Zamasu here got the hard read on Gohan by deflecting right at the round start, which is a very risky move to go for. So, we'll assume Zamasu won this game because he got the first read in. So, good job, me, by the way. So, anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you did, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them, or just shitpost with us. I've started streaming on Twitch Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 8 p.m. EST to 11 EST. There's a link to the channel in the description. And if you managed to make it all the way through the video and somehow still enjoyed it, please like the video and subscribe for more content of middling quality in the future. And I hope you found the video helpful.